I gotta go. While you're waiting, think about your life choices.
So, gentlemen, we're here at the end, and I kind of just want to start. Let's start with the beginning of part 3. Were there different versions of how we were initially going to come back to the story of we're going to pick up right after when Quan died, or what was the decision to do a little time jump to kind of just get things moved along?
There was always a plan to do a time jump. We thought something, very dramatic happened at the end of, episode 10, obviously with Quan's death at the Sekai Taikai. And we wanted to let the dust settle and then pick up in the aftermath. I will say we did our initial first version of a scene for 611 was like Sports Center, basically. And it was going to be like a Sports Center type thing talking about the Sekai Taikai and the state of the world, that this incident that occurred at this, World Karate Tournament had gone viral and people all over the world were very aware of it now. And you get that sense already in that episode and certainly by 613. But we always wanted to sort of pick up and see where our characters were a few weeks later, with Daniel looking to just sort of put karate in his past and move on from it. This tragic thing happened. I shouldn't have even been there in the first place. This was probably all a mistake. To Johnny, who's thinking this was our big shot. It was not only a big shot for me, but for Robbie and for Miguel and for all the kids. And just the frustration that yes, a tragic thing happened, but it happened, in a way that was not like a natural karate fight. This, a foreign object ended up on the mat and, the bad set of circumstances happened and then it escalated from there. That was sort of, his Johnny's attitude about it. But each person, we wanted to see how they felt in the aftermath of the tragedy.
I should have figured that with a title like Skeleton in 613, I should have seen that whole thing coming. Of course, we're going to get paid homage to the films again. Can you talk about constructing, again, because we're dealing very much still with Daniel's trauma of everything he's been going through this season. Can you talk about what was the trickiest aspect of bringing that whole dream sequence to life? Whether it was bringing, did not see who was playing Mr. Miyagi in this, but can you talk about just that whole storyline of finally being able to get him through these dark times he's been going through this season?
Yeah, Daniel has earned this dream, not only through this, season, but through the franchise up to this point. Especially beginning with season 1 of Cobra Kai, we are dealing with a Daniel who has never stopped mourning Mr. Miyagi. His loss is always kind of coming to the forefront as Daniel's dealing with history repeating itself, certainly in the early days with Cobra Kai, but even, in the later seasons as, his children are dealing with things that, he himself maybe never went through. And it just, you're craving that wisdom that's not there in real time anymore. And up until season 6, he's been able to reach into the past and pull out a nugget and, rest upon the idea that Mr. Miyagi, always had the answers. This season, Daniel's confronting, the idea for the first time that Mr. Miyagi is a human being, who's fallible and, has mistakes and has skeletons in his closet, some of which he'll never have, a perfect, complex explanation for. And, we see that at its most haunting in the middle 5 episodes when he has a nightmare about fighting Mr. Miyagi. This is the B-side to that. This is bringing that storyline to its ultimate resolution as he has what starts as a nightmare, but then the ultimate dream, which is Daniel and Mr. Miyagi fighting side by side to, destroy all his enemies and, leave it all in the past. And that was something we discussed with Ralph before the season, on his wish list, as we're going into the conclusion, he really was craving, how amazing it would be to share screen time with Pat again. And obviously that's not possible. But, deep fakes and AI and, VFX and CGI are making it more possible to, present that fantasy. And, we felt comfortable about putting Pat and Ralph on screen together, because both scenes are presented as a dream, and in a dream, your mind can take you to fantastical places. And we thought, what better than this dream than for Mr. Miyagi to be able to impart, one more piece of wisdom to Daniel that can help him finally push through that final door. But to do that, it requires a village. We needed an actor to stand in for Pat Morita on set. And that was our fight choreographer, fight designer, Don Lee. And then we needed every bit of post-production assistance you can imagine, from voice sound-alikes to AI revoicers to deepfake, technology to work on the appearance. And a lot of note giving. And I can assure you, it's not the first draft, it's not the second draft, it's not the 20th draft you're seeing. You're seeing, the amount of months and months and months of work to get to this point where we felt like this is reflective, of a dream, and we feel that we put on screen what we set out to do within the confines of this show. We hope it's landing with audiences the way that we felt when putting it together.
I don't know if this is more of a question for William, but I wanted to get your take on it, because again, we see him, we see Johnny getting his, ultimate happy ending of, he gets to be the winner, the true redemption story for him after all that we've seen him through these 6 seasons, all these movies. Would you say that this is the closing of the book for Johnny at this point, or like how do you foresee this?
It's the closing of the story that sort of of that 1984 story is, I think, what we would say. It's like, he ended in 1984. He, had this rivalry with Daniel. He lost in this, big crane kick moment. And then in the aftermath, his sensei kind of, abandoned him and abused him in this situation. And the end of Cobra Kai is sort of Johnny not only redeeming himself as a winner, but dealing with the pain that he had from that moment that he had in high school. Johnny Lawrence will live on from here. Perhaps there's more Johnny Lawrence stories to tell going forward. But in terms of, that trauma that he had at the hands of Kreese and losing that big fight, he's finally come out the other side in this Cobra Kai story.
But gentlemen, I have to congratulate on an amazing 6-year run and of course an amazing final season that I'm, probably by any day I'm going to probably re-binge all 15 hours just to relive the gloriness. So you guys should be very proud of what you've accomplished, and I hope I talk to you guys soon, rather than later, because you guys are always so much fun. Thank you all always going to screen and so much time to break it down with you guys and kind of see how this all came to fruition. So thank you for everything you guys have. Thank you for your service is what I'm trying to say.
We really appreciate it very much.
We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to introduce you to my accountant.
Hey, what, is he going to send me a bill too?